Hello, I'm Amar Jones and welcome to Caffeine TV, your daily video news brief. Here to take you through 3 headline numbers in just 3 minutes, giving you a different take on everything from housing policy to the Real Housewives. The first number up today is 100, as in 100 million. According to the CDC, that's the number of people in the United States living with an STD, as reported in by the Daily Mail. That's 1 out of 3 Americans. Now, the goodish news is that most of these cases are HPV, the mostly innocuous virus, but which has the potential to cause cancer. The good news on HPV is that there's an app for that. There's a vaccine, and so make sure your teenagers get that before they start to do you know what. But 20 million other people are living with something more serious like chlamydia. Now, all of this just goes to show you that even as we are concerned by the tragic death of Thomas Duncan yesterday of Ebola and our government's on-again, off-again response to it, that the threat of disease is something that we live with all the time. And that even as we are concerned about the threat from Ebola here in the United States, what it can potentially do, and what it's definitely doing around the world, that the threat of disease is something that is quite literally under your nose. The next number up today is 105, as in $105 million. That's the amount that AT&T was fined yesterday by the federal government for something called cramming. Now, cramming isn't like cramming for an exam, and it's not like we spoke about in our last segment. No, not cramming like that. We're talking about charging you on your cell phone for things that you never paid for, like ringtones and love advice and horoscopes. And I didn't even know you could get half of that stuff on your cell phone, but apparently you can, and AT&T has been laughing all the way to the bank. Now, we're in an election season, and a lot of people in the GOP are saying things like, government should get out of the way, government's the problem. If the government goes poof, the economy will spring back. Well, government was in the way this time, and AT&T customers were still fleeced or robbed, or however you put it. So just goes to show you that if certain people get their way after Election Day next month, that we're going to get crammed. The next number up today is 3, as in 3 times. According to color lines, that's the number of times that dark-skinned black girls are more likely to be suspended than lighter-skinned black girls. For black boys, the suspension rate between dark and light is 2.5 times. Now, this is just yet another example that the idea of a post-racial America is gone with the wind. And it also goes to explain, in part, how Mike Brown ended up shot dead in the street and lying there for 4 hours. Not justify, partially explain. And that's because people like Officer Wilson and others viewed him as a threat. In fact, they viewed dark-skinned Mike Brown as a threat since the time he entered in kindergarten, since he was 5 years old. And it just goes to show why it's really important to have a range of images of black people on television, like Viola Davis in How to Get Away with Murder, like Lupita Nyong'o in movies, and my favorite in movies and film, Morris Chestnut, because it's really important to underscore that black people, the full range of black people, are in fact human. And I can't believe in 2014 that I actually have to say that.